It is the end of an era. CBS is canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. It'll go off the air next May. The announcement coming just days after Colbert criticized his $16 million settlement paid by CBS News' parent company, Paramount, to settle a lawsuit filed by President Trump.
Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away.
Now, CBS calls this a financial decision, but some are wondering whether the move was at all politically motivated. Senator Elizabeth Warren tweeting, quote, "The deal looks like bribery. America deserves to know if his show is canceled for political reasons." CNN media analyst Sara Fischer is joining us now. Sara, good to see you this Friday morning. I first just want to get your take on CBS's decision.
Jessica, if it was a political decision, they have enough plausible deniability to say that it was a financial one because of the current state of late night and comedy television. It's very expensive to produce something live every single day, and viewership and ratings for traditional television continue to drop. So even if this was political, CBS can get away with saying it wasn't. But I think what you're seeing from Senator Warren's tweet is that people just don't believe that this was a total financial decision, given the backdrop of what you just announced, the settlement with Donald Trump, all of the political pressure, et cetera.
California Democratic Senator Adam Schiff was a late-night guest last night when this announcement was made. I want to take a listen to what he told Colbert about Trump.
He wants to make news organizations, CBS and Paramount, afraid. He wants to make ABC afraid, and he is succeeding. In the first term, there were at least some people to stand up to him. The Secretary Mattis's, the John Kelly's, and others that had some stature who were willing to say, Mr. President, that's a stupid-ass idea.
Sara, how would you broadly assess the state of news media in this era of the second Trump administration?
I agree with the former congressman. It's under a lot of political pressure. And he's right that news companies are buckling. I mean, both ABC and CBS settled lawsuits that legal experts say they could have won in court, likely because out of fear of political retribution. Of course, we know that CBS was undergoing a merger with its parent company, and they felt as though they needed to settle that lawsuit in order to get regulatory approval of that deal. We're also seeing the Trump-era FCC go after media companies for their DEI policies, which is not typically something that is really fallen within their jurisdiction and their priority list. And you're seeing media companies all changing their DEI policies in response. Telecom companies, too. It's worth noting that T-Mobile changed its DEI policies to get a few deals of its own approved. And so I think media companies feel this pressure. And the biggest concern, Jessica, is not necessarily that they're paying lawsuits. The biggest concern is that they feel like they have to self-censor themselves because they're afraid of what that means for retribution. And that's why I think you have people concerned about the canceling of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. It's a form of self-censoring in a way.
All right, CNN media analyst Sara Fischer, thanks for stopping by this morning. We appreciate it.
So this surprise announcement came just weeks after Paramount, the parent company of CBS, settled a $16 million lawsuit with President Trump. CNN's Hadas Gold is here. This is big, and there are a lot of questions about it.
A lot of questions. At the end of an era, end of institution. The show had been running for 32 years. David Letterman, of course, was the predecessor to Stephen Colbert. Lots of questions. You cannot ignore the timing of all of this and how all of this is happening right now and the decision to announce this now. Now, CBS has taken pains to say this was a purely financial decision, they say, against a challenging backdrop in late night. They say it is not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount. Now, it is true. Late night TV does not make the type of money that it used to make just a few years ago. And a source is telling our colleague Brian Stelter that the show was no longer profitable. However, Stephen Colbert was the highest rated show for that hour. And so, you know, you have good ratings going on. The other shows are not being canceled. And of course, nothing happens in a vacuum. Just look at what is happening all around CBS and its parent company, Paramount. Paramount is trying to complete this merger with Skydance. What does it need? It needs Trump administration approval. You just talked about how they just settled $16 million for that lawsuit that most, if not all, legal scholars called completely bogus over how 60 Minutes edited the interview with Kamala Harris. And keep in mind, Stephen Colbert has one of the most frequent, harshest critics of President Trump and of the Trump administration. In fact, he called that settlement a big fat bribe just a few days ago. So it's hard to ignore what is happening in all of this, with all of this happening around. And again, things don't happen in a vacuum. And that's why you're hearing from some members of Congress. In fact, Senator Schiff, who just happened to be on the show with Stephen Colbert when he made that announcement, he said that if Paramount and CBS did the Late Show for political reasons, the public deserves to know. Senator Warren also posting, America deserves to know if his show was canceled for political reasons. Isn't it kind of crazy in today's day and age that the fact that a late night sort of comedy show being canceled is now potentially a point of debate in the Congress?
A sad milestone in television. Hadas Gold, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
In a statement, Senator Elizabeth Warren said the cancellation came just 3 days after the host slammed CBS's owner, Paramount, for its settlement with Trump and called it a deal that looked like bribery. But in their own statement, CBS called it purely financial, a decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. It is not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount. Ellie Honig is back with us at the table. I guess it's not surprising that people don't buy it to a degree, but really because of the history here with Trump and these media companies and their desire to not get on his bad side, and also their history of paying him.
So 2 initial reactions to this. Number 1, what on earth is Congress doing wasting their time on this?
Amen.
CBS is a private industry. If they want to give AOC the show, God bless them. If they want to go Fox News, God bless them. They're private. That's right. First Amendment. Congress, if Democrats, if Elizabeth Warren, they go down this road, what an utter waste.
You don't know why they're mad about it?
Well,
who was even on the show tonight? Adam Schiff. These shows, Colbert and the rest of them, have become nothing but anti-Trump fever swap porn with them guests every single night.
Ellie, let me ask you a follow-up question.
So there's a legal point here.
Yeah. Okay. The reason Elizabeth Warren is asking about this, I take your point. I think you're right about can they cancel a show? Absolutely. But she was asking previously about the reports of a settlement with Trump in order to approve their merger. Yeah. And she has suggested that that was bribery, that they basically agreed publicly to pay a certain amount of money to his presidential library, and perhaps privately to dedicate advertising money to his causes, and she suggests that maybe that's bribery.
So this was the second point I was going to. If we look at that settlement, the 60 Minutes settlement, the most ridiculous defamation lawsuit, the most ridiculous settlement I can remember hearing of. I mean, you don't, first of all, even have a defamation claim if CBS edited an interview of someone you don't like, Kamala Harris, his electoral opponent, to make her look better. You don't even have a basis to walk in the front door of the courthouse for that. Rather than fight it, CBS caved and paid the $16 million. They 1,000% would have won that lawsuit if they fought it. Now, why and what the motivations were, was there some sort of quid pro quo? Nobody knows at this point. So I stand by both those things. Congress needs to find better things to do than worry about who's got late night. But it was a ridiculous settlement, too.
Much as I would love to join any Trump pile-on that anybody wants to make, I really think that this is financial. I really do believe CBS, the model of putting on a very expensive show at 11:30 p.m., where the host is making 8 figures and there's a large team, the current model of television does not support that. And they are not making enough money over the long term to support having. So the next step, and I am sure that Colbert knew this was coming when he made that statement. So he made that statement because he knew this was coming.
Well, he said he found out the night before.
That's what he said.
Which,
but you can't pull the plug on a show this gigantic.
But I think that's the thing. I don't know, right? Like, I don't know, but you don't know. And I don't know that he would have said, I found out about this last night, if he didn't find out about it last night.
But the next step is Fallon and Kimmel, and I don't wish any of these people ill at all. I like all of them.
There are these broad trends in these
big shows, these late night shows are going.
There's one massive part of the conversation that's been completely omitted from this, and that is when you do a show that attacks half of America every night, and you don't have conservatives on, and by the way, you're not funny, but attacking half of America, and your ratings suck, you might lose your show.
There's a lot of reasons why the Colbert. But there's a lot of reasons why the Colbert ratings are not working out that have nothing to do with the political divide you're talking about.
But it's constant. He's having on Democrats to trash Trump. He has constantly been trashing conservatives. He referred to Donald Trump as a Nazi lover in 2017.
That does make half of the country happy.
Right,
you
but
don't
if you
need to have,
alienate
but you
half
don't
the
need,
country,
but you don't need to have the whole country watching your show. You only need half the country. That's a great show.
The problem is if he wasn't funny anymore, why did Shane Gillis? By the way, why did Shane Gillis do ESPYs?
Here's the corollary to what you're saying. Like the other side of it is that, you know, there are shows that I will not name that spend half their time attacking liberals or all their time attacking liberals.
That's one thing.
All their time attacking liberals, and it doesn't have any impact on their ratings whatsoever. So to raise
he hates guys like us.
So to Ray's point, I don't necessarily think that's really on the ratings front. I don't really think that's really what matters.
His ratings good. They're dismal.
He's
getting paid by a cable news late night show. Let's be clear about that.
The real problem is more like Netflix and the reasons what the democratization of the entire television landscape. There are so many more options for people to watch.